everyone. Welcome to the Light Gate. It is a beautiful day today, and I hope you've all had a beautiful weekend. We are coming to you live from the beautiful city of New Orleans and the beautiful state of Louisiana at the United Public Radio Network at 107.7 FM and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 105.3 FM. We are on Roku, Facebook, YouTube. We got lots going on tonight, and you notice that it's just the two of us, and there's going to be lots talked about tonight, especially because it's going to mostly be coming from you. So let's get started and have a good time. Go, Preston.
Just the two of us. I love that song. Yeah, it is just the two of us tonight. Q&As are particularly popular. Our producer really encouraged us to do a little bit more of them, so we've planned this one, and I'm super excited about it. So get those questions in, and we will definitely try to answer all of them. Nothing's off limits, though I hope it's focusing mostly on UFOs and the paranormal, but whatever, it's fine. You are watching The Light Gate. I am your host, Preston Dennett, and my lovely co-host is, of course, Dolly Safran. Episode 49. We have been at this for almost a year now, Dolly. Not quite.
I know, it's wow.
A few more episodes. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting night. And I do hope we have enough questions to keep us all busy, but I already see some of you guys stacking some up. So thank you. But first, let's say hello to all of you. And hi to Brian Morgan. Always nice to see you in here, nice and early. So thank you, thank you. Did you guys hear about Lou Elizondo's announcement today?
No.
I think so. I heard he was going to be putting out a book. So maybe that's what it, oh, well, yeah, I think that's what it was about. His book dropped today. So that should be interesting. Who else do we got here? David, and hi. Need an address if you want your share of puppy chow. Hi, it's Alicia. I'm glad you are so ready for this show. That is awesome. W. Decker, thank you so much. That's really, truly kind of you for the super chat. Helps a whole bunch and will be put to good use. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to skip over the questions for now and just say hello to everyone else here. Moonwalker, thank you for joining us. Who else do we got going on? Catherine Four Feathers, greetings. Vicky Campbell, hello. Sending you lots of love. Oh, so sweet. Sending you love right back. So, yeah, happy Easter, everyone. This is lovely time of year when spring is just beginning. It's my favorite season, by the way. I love all the flowers and the baby birds and such. Janice, hello. This should be an interesting session. I certainly hope so. Thank you, Janice, for joining us. Namaste of endless generosity.
Thank you.
You leave me speechless, honestly. So all I can say is thank you, thank you, thank you. You have my endless gratitude. I truly, truly appreciate it. Thank you, you guys. Thank you so much. Louise, greetings from New Jersey, the Garden State. Hello, hope you're doing well. Who else do we got going on here? Oh, Heidi Hansen. Wow, Heidi. You are so sweet, so kind, so generous.
Oh my gosh.
Great to have you on the show upcoming in a few weeks.
Yep.
Your books are super interesting, by the way. I'm not sure where we can start, but there's a lot to talk about. Yep. So I'm super excited. All right. Gosh, Heidi, amazing. It's like 3:05 a.m. there too. So wow, I'm really impressed.
Thank you.
Okay, who else we got here? Michigan UFO sightings and paranormal encounters. And Michigan is a huge hotspot for UFO activity. So nice to see you here, as well as Louise with another amazing and generous super sticker. Thank you, Louise. I am just So grateful. Thank you. Thank you. Who else do we got? Fun Talks TV and Liana King. Thank you for
Hi.
joining us. Aunt, hello, Aunt. Greetings.
All right.
I love your little picture there. Very cute.
Yeah.
Hello, Penny Coons. Hope you're doing well. Hello, Tim. Good morning from Australia. Wow. Very cool. We had our last guest was from Australia. I'm sure some of you guys, well, I recognize some of you. Who was it? George Simpson. We talked about Frederick Valentic. Very interesting show.
Yep.
And we're going to have him back on again. He had more to say for sure. Who else we got? Star Orchid, TGIM. Thank God it's Monday. Yes, thank you for joining us. And Ruth Kleiber, hello. Hope you're doing well. Pogo Joe and Synthetic Nature. No April Fooling. Well, maybe. We'll see. Catherine Fourfeathers says, "Are you muted? Can you guys hear us?" Yeah.
Am I muted? I'm not muted.
No, I'm getting other messages that we are being heard. So
Okay.
Not sure what's going on there. Synthetic Nature says we can hear you. So does Moonwalker. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on, Catherine. My sound is all the way up. We should be good. All right. Hope you can figure that out. We need to get subtitles on here. I know that they come after the show, but I'm not sure how to do them live. We'll figure that out. Racer XYZ caught the show live. Awesome. And let's see, who else do we have? Tim Houston and DGK. If you have questions, please do ask them, DG. I'm not sure I can remember which ones you're talking about. And I believe you were talking about Leica, the dog. That's the one I do remember. Hello, Aubrey. I will get this question in so I can ask that later. Oh, Aunt is from England. Very cool. Susan Alloway. Always awesome to see Susan, of love and light and joy. I love you dearly. Carol Aubin. Wow. Thank you. You guys are being so incredibly generous tonight, Carol. Thank you. Oh my gosh, I'm humbled. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Love V Love. I love it. And Rockstar 897 Abel and Real Badger. And oh my gosh, Janice Connick. Thank you so much, you guys. Goodness gracious. What have I done to deserve you? I must have been very good in a past life. And maybe a little in this life. I'm trying. Tim Houston. I remember George. Yes, George Simpson. No relation to Bart. Okay. Love Dolly's hair tonight. Very pretty. I noticed that actually. It looks nice and soft. I meant to say that. Okay, we better get started. Tammy Turcott, first time for a live chat. Hello from Arizona.
Hi.
And Cherie and Kim King. Let's see who else do we got. Dean Chaplain and Robot X and Kayleen. Can you pronounce the last name? Gwynmither.
Yes, Gwynmither. Yeah.
Book Arts with Lori Taylor. Yeah. She's and Cream and Chris and Adam Roberts and Maggie Smith and John P. Adventures. Okay, we'll get started. I promise. Yeah. Tonight is a Q&A. So I can't read the bio of our guest because the guest is you. But I will tell you a little bit about me and Dolly. I began investigating UFOs in 1986 when I discovered my family, friends, and coworkers were having encounters. I heard a report on the news about a sighting over Alaska that prompted me to ask my brother Mark, older brother, and he described this amazing sighting. And then I found out that my two sister-in-laws had encounters with actual ETs and UFOs. And several friends had encounters, people at work. It rolled out from there. I joined MUFON. A year later, became a field investigator. Started writing articles for about 10 years, wrote about 30 articles before I put out my first book, UFO Healings. That was in 1996. After that, I've been putting out a book on the average of one per year. Now have 32 books out, including my latest, which seems to be sitting around right here. Shameless plug, Not From Here, Volume 5. Check it out. It hit #1 on the Amazon UFO bestseller list. So I certainly can't complain about that. Probably thanks to you guys. So what else? Yeah, I started writing articles and going on TV and radio. And probably my most famous shows are Ancient Aliens recently, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, if you can believe that, but Unexplained, Expedition X with Josh Gates, and really a bunch of others.
You were just on History, a special edition the other day.
Yeah,
We didn't even check it out. We had it on and boop, there he was. Yeah.
So that's my story, and it's sticking to me. And now Dolly Safran has a very interesting bio. She is a fully conscious contactee pretty much for her whole life, really starting at age 14 after a particularly impressive encounter where she was pulled on board and said, "That's it, I'm going to remember." But she's done a lot of really interesting things in life. Besides nearly getting bitten by a shark, getting bitten by a rattlesnake, struck by lightning, stung by a hornet, breaking several bones, and all kinds of fun stuff. But yeah, she's worked as a limo driver, an assistant manager at a Wendy's. She was a zookeeper for quite some time, a bus driver after the one bus driver who was driving her daughter got in an accident. So Dolly says, "You know what? I'm jumping in." But she's worked as a security guard, a nurse for a long time, and more, including as a civilian worker for the U.S. Department of Treasury and also in the Army as an employee for the U.S. Department of Defense. How is that for a resume? But really, I think the most amazing part of her life is her ongoing contacts with ETs and spending not just hours or days, but I don't know, all in all added up, it's years with the ETs.
Long time.
And absolutely proved her story to me in a way where I absolutely have no doubt because it happened to me. So she's for real. And she is the subject of the book Symmetry, a True UFO Adventure. So that's enough about us other than a teaser. Turns out we couldn't tell the whole story of Dolly's lifelong experiences with ETs in just one book. So we are currently interviewing for a second book. And only just started doing the interviews because every time she says something, I write down notes and there's always more to hear. So yeah, there's going to be a Symmetry too. And that, I think, is where I'll leave it for now, and we can start diving in to the questions. But first, before we do that, I have to bring up one thing. Because, Dolly, you and I mean, you alerted me. You're like, hey, look, I think it was England or?
No,
France?
the European Union, yeah.
Yeah, you want to talk about that while
They had a disclosure meeting with different people and a couple of people from the U.S. Two of the people, not Grush, but the other two who gave testimony were there as well, plus a lot of European Union specialists and experts and whatever. And the very first thing they said that made my heart hurt was that, yes, they have sightings in Europe condescendingly about U.S. is not the only place. And nobody's ever said that. And that kind of hurt my feelings because they should know U.S., all the researchers in the U.S. go all over the world looking at every situation that they can come in contact with or that they'll contact them and tell them about. Preston is one of them. And so that was kind of an anomaly for me. And then there was a lot of back and forth. And basically the tone of it, the end result of it, what I got out of it was that they need disclosure and they need the governments to come clean with them. That they have no way, exactly as we do, of getting any information cohesively or being able to back information up and have open lines of communication whatsoever. And this is very frustrating for them, I know, and it's frustrating for us too. And I keep wondering if one way that we can get disclosure, or at least a little bit more than we're getting now, or some way to pop our feet in, is to quit having these conferences and have everybody in the world who wants disclosure to start going to Congress and knocking on the door, making telephone calls and telling them, we're not going to listen to you anymore. Don't make any more meetings. Don't tell us anything, because anything you say is suspect to us. And without real disclosure and you opening up and giving us information about three main things. One, where the craft, where are the bodies, and how long have you been doing this and how much do you know? That's all they want. And it's about bloody time that somebody or all of us did that. And that's it.
Yeah, I was so disappointed, Dolly. I mean, it was unprofessional. They could not get their sound going. They couldn't get the.
Oh no, it was their first try at it. You got to give them credit for that, right?
Yeah, well, I expected a little bit more out of it. And while I give kudos to anyone who's willing to talk about the subject in any official way, it was just talk. And we're like, I saw a UFO. We should take pictures. We should do a database. And gosh, we need to start moving on from trying to prove this. It's proven.
Right.
I've said it many times. And I love your idea of just coming together with a consensus, a plan of action.
It's gone beyond disclosure. Now we want details, period. Stop saying disclosure. It's already disclosed. We want details. Yeah. That's how I feel about it. Right? Yeah.
So it was nice to see them talking about it, but man, oh man, it just wasn't enough. Mm-hmm. I don't know if enough will ever be enough. But okay, as Tim Houston says, we shouldn't expect any sort of honest disclosure, not from your government, nor disrespect. None taken. Trust me.
Out of the mouths of truth sayers, yeah. That's true.
Okay. All right. Thanks, guys, for all these amazing questions. I've got a bunch of them already in startup, so let's get started. First with one involving an email question, which I highlighted here. And this is from Jeff, and it's the first one, which was asked, a couple of days ago. And he says, Happy Easter, Preston. I see that you have scheduled a Q&A. Thank you. I will be tuning in. Please consider these questions in your shared discussion and answers around OBEs, out-of-body experiences and astral travel. And he asks, what is going on inside your mind and body as you prepare for an OBE? Specifically, do you invoke a particular emotion or set of memories and imagination to create a scenario or mental vehicle to elicit a particular brainwave state to initiate OBEs, or do you simply state your intention to direct your consciousness and then relax? I and your audience would benefit from both you and Dolly sharing your methods of heart, mind, body intentions and envisioning process for OBEs. I love that question. I really, really wish everyone would spend more time trying to do astral projection. And I've refined it over the years. Initially, it took me quite a bit of effort. Honest to God, really focusing, intending, desiring, reading about it, obsessing. But now for me, it's basically a process. And I've actually followed Dolly's advice, which worked really well for me. Because there are different methods you can do it. First, I physically relax. My body, I just physically relax to the point where I start to feel heaviness or lightness, numbness, movement perhaps. Ultimately, I want to get to the vibratory state, but I don't necessarily strive for that. I just relax to the point where I don't necessarily know what position my body's in. But you can only do that for so long. I mean, you can always relax a little bit more, but at some point, you want to stop paying attention to your environment. This is how I do it. Dolly might do a little differently. But I turn away from my body and I go 180 degrees inward, and I look at my stream of consciousness, which is racing along with all the things I did that day, all the emotions I had, what I've got to do tomorrow, and I leave it. And then I just kind of tune into I let go. I just absolutely let go. I set an intention, like you said, and I sort of, I don't know how to describe it, but just sort of move out. I intend to move out, and I slide right out. And it doesn't always work for me. It works best for me when I wake up early in the morning, and I'm still super relaxed at that point. That's when I have most of mine. If I want to do it at night, it takes me a bit more effort. But yeah, to me, it's just physically relaxing, mentally relaxing, and then letting go and intending to go out. Really, I think the trick is turning 180 degrees inward and forgetting the environment. But there's all kinds of methods. I'm going to do another book on that too, by the way. I'm working on it. But I did a whole video on it, which really outlines that in more detail. So how about you, Dolly?
So I've been doing it all my whole entire life, and nobody ever taught me. I just started doing it on my own, very, very young, small child. Now I'm at the point where I'm mostly aware all the time. I mean, I can remote or OBE at any time. I mean, all I have to do is just decide and I'm out. It is a command that I command. In other words, it is like if I lift my hand to grab something, that's how well I can do this. And a couple times I've done it when I was talking to people, and I stood outside myself while I was talking, looking at each of us and thinking, I can do this now. And I went back. It is as easy as breathing. You just have to understand that you're the one in control of it. And the only control you can have is, as Preston says, go within to go without. You drop every thought you have anywhere else in your physical mind, and you listen. You listen for your own consciousness to connect up with you, and then you intend to get up, walk up out of your body and go. There's no emotion with it. There's no hesitation with it. There's nothing. You just go and know that you're going to go, and then start observing as you do. That's all you got to do.
Yeah. I'm going to do another show on it because this is a question I get a lot. I will briefly share one I had recently, relatively recently, because for me, they come 4 or 5 times a month when I'm doing it well. But I popped out, you feel these feelings, and I slide right out of bed, and I've learned to stop and meditate and kind of bring myself to full awareness. And I went out into the front yard, and I sat down on the ground, and I started calling for my mom because I haven't seen her in a while. I'm like, Mom, 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 Mom. And I don't know why I didn't just go up to the other side looking for her and say, I'm going to you now, because that's really the best way. But I was calling, and I started to get really frantic with it, really emotional. And suddenly my brother, Mark, and my sister, Valerie, appeared. They're alive. They're here. But apparently they were out of body. This was the middle of the night. They're like, what's wrong? I'm like, I'm okay. I'm just calling for Mom. But it was so funny because they came to check on me because I was calling frantically. I'm like, I'm okay. It was just an interesting OBE with, my siblings who actually don't think they're doing it, but they are. We're all doing it. All right. I hope that answers your question. But let's move on to the first question from Brian Morgan. I got a question for Preston and Dolly. Following the thread from Admiral Byrd in Antarctica and all of that, supposedly I read stories that the ETs gave the Nazis all of this. Now, for people who don't know, Admiral Byrd had this diary where he flew over the North Pole and saw apparently this hole and all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's a long, involved story, which is quite controversial. And people are trying to connect Nazis to Antarctica. I have no good reporting on that. In none that I find super credible. There's a few sources that I don't fully trust, honestly. I think it's possible the Nazis did get a hold of some ET craft or equipment or technology, but I don't believe it was given to them. It's not my area of expertise. I couldn't really say for sure, but I don't think there are any bases, Nazi bases in the Antarctic or ET bases or anything like that. I don't know. What do you think, Dolly? Dolly's gearing up.
No, no. No, 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 no. It's misinformation. It's information that's it's like smoke and mirrors. They don't want you to know the truth about why the Nazis got into power in the first place and everything else for that matter. It's sad. And there's a lot of involvement between a lot of different countries with the Nazis that you are all unaware of as well, or some of you might be. So don't believe it. It's not true. They didn't have enough money for that, even though Hitler was going around and collecting gold and doing all kinds of crap stuff. They were funding missiles and bombs and planes and war machines. They were trying to stay afloat, and they did run out of money. They would have needed way more time to do anything in Antarctica. You got to remember, it's freezing there, and you have to have the technology, and that did not exist at that time. There was no way for them to build anything anywhere in that environment, let alone dig down and create bases. There's just not. But no. So.
All right. Moving along, and this one I am not sure I fully understand, but I'll bring it up. Moonwalker, when you look at the binary message, beware the bearers of false gifts and their broken promises. I'm not sure where that came from. You might be talking about Rendlesham, maybe? I don't know. Do you think this was one ET warning us of another ET? The picto crop is of the gray holding the disc. Maybe that's the crop circle with the...
I know what he's talking about. They wanted to show what they looked like to us after we sent a binary message on Voyager, and they were sending one back, and they were telling us not exactly where they were, but it gave a pretty good pinpointing location to where they were, what part of the galaxy. And they sent another one that they did a crop circle of what they looked like, and it would be the grays, the small grays. So no, there is no binary. It's just a language. It's a computer language. It's a base language. Assembler is the first language that you program with, that you set your base up in your hardware programming to take on the programming that you implement onto it. It could be C++, Warface, Python, all of that. And we communicate over the airwaves in binary as well. We use binary. It is our language that we developed, but it is a known quantity among all people across the universe because it's so simple, on, off, on, off. It's like Morse code, only very, very detailed. So, no.
So are crop circles then from the ETs universally, you think?
Mostly, yes, mostly. Yeah, they've proven that because some of the answers they've gotten in the crop circles are highly advanced mathematical equations explaining things. And I don't think some farmer and two boards and his pals out there doing that could have implemented that at all. Yeah, there's also traces of radiation, and it doesn't flatten the grass to the ground. They don't do that. The stalks are still up. They just bend them. And it happens all at once. They've got thermography of a crop circle just appearing out of nowhere. So, yeah, they're real.
Yeah, well, Dr. Levengood proved it by putting these under an electron microscope and showing the nodes of these wheat stalks and how they differ from ones that you can instantly tell a genuine crop circle from one that's not. And the genuine ones are so beautiful and so precise, it's pretty easy to tell.
Right.
So I always wondered who was doing them because they're not directly connected to UFO sightings. There's a few, but not most of them. No, they just kind of appear. So
well, they know how to make them. They use technology. They use light technology, and they come in close enough, and they're cloaked. If you want to use that word cloaked, they're just, you can't hear them.
I'm going to put that down for a question.
It's electromagnetic light pulse that, like when you're going to do a laser show and you program the lasers, so imagine like a piano. I'm going to give you a real simple idea. You know what a piano player is, right? And it's got the roll and it's got all the little cutout holes and whatever. They program the disc on board electromagnetically so that when they shoot it down, the energy from it in light, it does the whole thing at once. It's not writing it, it literally plants it. And that's how it works. And it's light technology. Very, very advanced stuff. So,
I'm going to be asking you more about that for Symmetry too, because I have a feeling you may have, well, I will be asking that. Just a warning. All right. Another question from Brian Morgan. Advanced tech. Now, have either of you two heard of any of this? And if so, why wouldn't they have used all that during World War II? I can only speculate. I think that people who are holding ET technology are holding it very tightly to their chest. They're not going to be using it in a way that this is going to be hugely visible to people until they're ready. Pure speculation.
Okay, I'm going to give you, for example. Okay, this is really easy to understand. Think of somebody in the year 1650, and suddenly a TV appears before them, a digital TV. And they open it up and they look at it and they're like, wow, this is really cool. And they want to figure out how it works. Well, A, they don't have base knowledge to even understand what they're looking at. They also don't have the technology to even test what that technology is or even try to implement making it again. They don't have the technology for the materials included in this thing. They would have to develop for years and years and years the tech just to develop the tech or back engineer the tech that they're looking at. In the 1940s, 30s, and 40s, we didn't have that kind of tech. They didn't have anything close enough to even really figure out how to make what they made. It took all the way to the 60s, 70s, and 80s for them to back engineer completely. They had to develop the tech, to do the tech, to make the tech. And
yeah, but if our government has it, why aren't they using it?
They do use it. They just don't want you to know they're using it. It's weaponized already, and they're playing with it, not us. They'll never disclose that to you. Never. Okay. Where do you think 5G came from? There wasn't some guy sitting in Japan figuring this one out. They already knew. And they implemented it. It's a plan. Where did satellites come from? The 50s and the 60s, and the Russians put one up before anybody else. This is everybody has a chance to play. They've had downcraft all over the world, and the major governments around the world have been working on it since the 40s, 30s, and 40s, late 30s, early 40s. But they didn't have the tech to do the tech until bloody the 60s. So take it from there.
All right. Moving along. And the next question we have, thanks guys for all these questions. There's quite a few of them in here. I'm excited. This one is from Aubrey Eubank. Have you had many or any reported occurrences where individuals felt that the orbs, quote, sort of hypnotized their eyesight and temporarily changed everything in the 3D to a white color? I cannot say I specifically have reports of this. I will say that I've interviewed people who see a UFO and it dazzles their vision. And they might see everything outlined in red for a brief second or have their vision altered in some way. One guy had a very close encounter, and he said for 2 weeks afterward, he had no problems with night vision. It cured his vision in that way. Another said he had telescopic vision. This is something you can do on the other side. So I think there was a link there to where he had his abilities to use his inner vision accelerated or opened up or ignited in some way. But yeah, eye effects are a big part of UFO encounters. It's one of the questions I ask contactees. Do you have light sensitivity? Because that does turn up. That's one of the things I look for. But as far as having their eyesight changed into 3D to a white color, can't say I've specifically heard of that. You have any comments on that one, Dolly?
Yeah, there's a phenomenon going on. We have weird weather now. It's going to keep getting weirder and weirder. One of the things is the atmosphere is filling up, like you got cloud crystals everywhere when rains are coming or, inversions hit and the sunlight's coming through them and everything gets real weird looking, like you're in a cloud or it's hazy, fuzzy or whatever. And it's easier to see an orb in those conditions. And so people are associating it in a weird way. It's the weather conditions that you're in that makes it possible to see the orbs because they're light. They will refract against all kinds of light. And this is one of the phenomena that are going on. And the more they keep spraying our atmosphere and causing rain inversions, that's going to happen more often.
Yeah, the whole orb phenomena is super interesting. It's not only ET, it's spirits as well.
Right.
There's a lot to say about that. Right. Okay, Fun Talks TV, we're going there. Question to both of you. Do you believe the moon landing happened? Yes, and it's more than just belief. It is experiential knowledge. No, I didn't go there on the Apollo or Gemini missions, but I think the evidence is absolutely indisputable that we went there. And there's science that backs this up. I mean, we left stuff on the moon, which you can still detect to this day. And enough people have been there, and we're involved directly. I mean, the Apollo missions were tracked to and from the moon by amateur ham radio operators. Amateur astronomers watched these craft go to the moon. And it's a lot more than that. There's a mirror on the moon, which you
Several
lasers to. There's trash up there, up and down, not just from us, but from numerous countries. We've mapped the dark side of the moon. How did that happen? So yes, we have been to the moon. But I will say I am 100% convinced that we found stuff up there that they do not want the public to know. Spent a lot of time filming it and are not showing us that. So
yeah, they gave an excuse. They lost it all. It's all gone now. Somebody erased it.
I think it's
more than one
possible.
copy of it, and they've got it in hidden places. That is misinformation in the extreme.
As far as I'm willing to go, and this is pure speculation because I have no evidence of this, that there might be some segments that were faked of, but I don't know if I'm even willing to go that far.
People have been faking stuff since video began, and the misinformation people, or the people who don't want you to know the truth and will smoke and mirror you, have been doing that for a while. So now there's this huge controversy and it doesn't exist. They went to the moon. Absolutely. I have the experience of knowing it for a fact. My father worked for NASA. I was in and around NASA my entire life. I know more about stuff than you could possibly imagine just because. And yeah, we were uplink during it all, and it is real. And they have their reasons for going. I'll give you one really intelligent one. If you got a country or countries around the world that know that UFOs are coming here, and they're trying to figure things out, and they're thinking maybe they got a base up there and that's their operation and they're paranoid about it, you bet they'd move hand over fist to get their up there. They also had other information about what's going on in our solar system right now that they needed to prove, and they absolutely did prove it. So yes, it's not a joke. It really did happen. Yep. Okay.
All right. Tim Houston says, I'm not convinced humans have made it through the Van Allen belts. Well, they did, but it irradiated them. There was that recent thing where they put the twins, one twin up and one twin down. His genes were completely altered. You've talked quite a bit about this, Dolly.
Yep.
Radiation is serious stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You also have to understand something. When we look at the Van Allen belt, we see the bigger picture of it. But when you get right up close to it, there's lots of room in between it, and they can navigate it just fine. If we can navigate thousands of satellites around this planet, you can navigate the Van Allen belt no problem. And yes, it does let radiation. It does block it a little bit, but it's not 100%. And getting near it, they're fully radioactive up there, and it made it even worse. So yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
People seem to feel like, yeah, some of this is faked and we're being lied to. The photographic record is suspect. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm not fully trusting
It's
that.
shame, honestly. It's a bloody shame that nobody has the ability to firmly know the truth from fake reading.
So I do think we went, and I think the evidence shows it pretty clearly. All right. Oh my gosh. Mike, I can't believe you asked this. Mike Saab, CZAKAMS. Did Dolly ever bring Preston on a ship? Well, do you want to start, Dolly, or shall I?
It's your story.
All right. Yeah. You know, I wrote the book Symmetry about Dolly's experiences, and I did see the UFO over Laughlin. I saw us being followed by agents, clearly. I mean, they followed us to the bed and breakfast. We had rented a little bed and breakfast outside of the UFO con in Laughlin. So I saw a UFO. We got followed from the con to the little bed and breakfast down several turns. I mean, it was obvious. They blocked the driveway and glared at us. Dolly sent me
4 years worth of videos of them bugging me. Yeah.
So I'm just going through some of the evidence, which I kind of wanted before I was going to write the book, even though it was clear to me that Dolly was telling the truth pretty much after I talked to her for 10 hours or so. I ended up doing more than 100 hours of interviews, but started having experiences. And when I'd hang out with her, psychic stuff would happen, which is not necessarily, proof of ET contact, but it's certainly proof of her abilities lying in that direction. So then the day came, because people would ask, well, if Dolly's having true experiences, why doesn't she just take him on board the craft? I did not want Dolly's experiences to rest on my testimony. It's not my story, it's hers. And frankly, I don't care if people believe or not. I do want people to believe because it's true, but that's not up to me. It's up to each person to determine the truth of a person's story. And you can't say, well, change my mind. No, I'm not going to change your mind. It is up to you
to gotta figure it out.
What's true. But yes, she did. She absolutely did. This is how I know it's true, because it happened on my birthday in
2022. Yeah.
May 6th, best birthday present I ever got. I was in the dream state, really, and when a UFO appeared, and I'm like, wow, that looks real. Next thing I knew, I was being sucked up through this energy ribbon type thing, which is different from OBE, because this was very energetic. I'm like, wow, I am going. I knew instantly what was happening. And I'm going to be a little bit brief about this because I really want to talk about this when I put out my book on my experiences. But you asked, Mike. So yeah, I was pulled on board. I was put on a table and I was all right. I was so jazzed. I'm like, I'm going and I'm never coming back. There was a female, human looking, but part ET with large eyes, blonde hair. She was really beautiful, but very unusual looking. I really focused on her. There were other figures around me. And they kept asking me, am I all right? And I kept trying to get up. I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. And finally, they believed me. And I stood up and looked around, and I was in a round room. There were windows all around the perimeter panel. It was about as big as this room here, 30 feet, 40 feet across, kind of gray walls, not a super high ceiling, smooth floor, almost nothing in there. There was a row of people standing, mostly young. A lot of them were out of it. I walked up to them at some point. First, I walked straight up to Dolly's main liaison, who I didn't realize at the time, but a tall gray, beautiful, gorgeous, graceful, and looked up at her, and she asked me, so, is this what you thought it would be like? And I said, no, no, it's much better. Can I go exploring? And she said, yes. And I went to the other side and I looked down the window and I walked around. I talked to people. I tried to wake them up. They wouldn't wake up. Saw some really ET looking folks over on the other end. I'm like, wow, look at those. Went to the window, stood next to this young Korean girl. She probably couldn't have been more than 20. And down we went, and then up we went, and it was all kinds of fun. And I'm shortening it a little bit. And finally, they gave me a little glass of liquid to drink. Tasted like kiwi lime, very thick. And I took a sip of it and handed it back within this little glass tumbler, almost a beaker. And I'm like, wait, they took it away out of my hands. I'm like, wait, I want to try it again. They looked at me like I was crazy, because apparently this is not like a refreshment drink. This is more on the lines of medicine. And they said, fine, take another sip. And it knocked me out. Or I should say that's all I remember. I woke up in bed.
Yep. Short
version.
Yeah.
And Dolly didn't tell me at first that she was actually there.
I flew. My birthday is right after Preston's. He's May the 6th and I'm May the 8th. And I knew they were leaving, and I was given one more opportunity to fly before they left. And I had to make up my mind actually that day of whether I was going or staying. Bringing Preston aboard was too full. We were giving him the ride of his life. I did not want him to understand that I was on board and I was flying. I wanted this to be his experience. But I needed a chance to work out what I was thinking, so I flew. When I got done, I had made up my mind in that moment. Was last chance. I was staying. If I hadn't stayed, Preston would have gone. He would have left. Would not have left me there. Just so you know. And when I told him, I was flying you and told him what we were doing, and he was like, "Oh my god, oh my god!" But yeah, that was my last flight and his first flight. It was pretty cool. So yeah,
I absolutely loved it. Uh, the question passed me by, but was that Talata then that was there?
yes, he was. Talata is the craft. He indwells the craft. He is the main body of the being indweller
Yeah,
of the craft.
here it is.
Yes.
And that was Mama, right?
Yes, that was Mama. Mama was making sure for me to be with him and make sure he was okay. Yeah.
I have to say, I absolutely loved her. I mean, just one look is all you need, and you're like, wow. Yeah, that was the best experience ever. So yeah, very, very cool. All right, moving on to the next question. It's from Louise. Dolly, where's your glasses?
He's been on the computer all day. I have weird vision. I have really I'm farsighted. I have 2010 vision mostly, but I have since I was 40 my up close vision. Right, what happens when you turn that age, all your but I have a hard time seeing. I see the computer just fine right now. I can read everything, but from my hand to my fist, no way. And I've been looking back and forth and back and forth and back and forth on here all day long, and my eyes are tired. Can you tell? I look tired, don't I? I'm just like, so I'm just giving them a break and being myself. So yeah.
So how did you exit the craft on that time?
How do I exit the craft?
Yeah, on that time where you pulled me on board.
I do the jump. I go down the energy ribbon.
All right.
We don't land Talata. Talata does not land. No. No.
Okay. All right, moving along. Okay, I don't know if I know the answer to this one from Vicky. Dolly or Preston, have you heard of the Swaruans, an offshoot of the human race of the Tegetans, the Pleiades? Marie Swaru has a channel on YouTube. I haven't watched her channel, haven't heard of them. I don't know. I think we have a
I
tendency.
want to give you guys some science news, okay? It's time. Y'all need to start hearing the truth. A lot of people, including the Polynesian people, believe that they come from the Pleiades. They were told to point to the Pleiades, and that's what they thought. They think that they come from the constellation of the Pleiades. What they really come from is behind it. There's lots of stuff out there in our galaxy, and ascension and declination, and just looking, we could look through masses of all kinds of planetary systems in line of sight and not see them because the first one is going to block your vision. In the stars, that's what our sky is like. We see only part of what goes on in our galaxy. When you're looking at the whole Milky Way, it's a big blotch of stuff that you see coming up over the horizon or in your horizon. If you've gotten a light at night and you see the arm that we're in, that's the one arm of the galaxy that we're in. That's called the Milky Way. The Pleiades is it's called the Seven Sisters also. It is a star nursery. It is a huge nursery of stars. They have no life in there. It is a galaxy that eats other planets and other galaxies as well. And it has been doing that from time immemorial. There are no developed worlds in the Pleiades whatsoever. But what's behind them, line of sight from here, is the Delphi system. And that's where we're talking people come from. And especially the Polynesian people, their ethnicity comes from behind there in the Delphi system. There are several systems in the Delphi system that hold life. So just so you know. Andromeda is another one. Andromeda, the galaxy Andromeda, is not a place for life at all. It is also a galaxy killer. This is a galaxy that eats galaxies everywhere it goes. And it's a massive furnace of developing new stars, and it is a star nursery like the Pleiades. If you want to check this out for yourself, go find you a book on astronomy and read about it. Okay, that information is readily available to you. Go science up a little bit and you'll see that I'm telling you the truth. Okay.
All right, moving along. Yeah, I would just add that we have a tendency to name things. It helps us, I think, to understand this disordered and complicated universe. I'm not so sure the ETs have that need as much as us, but it is what it is. I'll check out the channel. Here it is. Marie Soireux. But no, I have not watched it, so I really couldn't say. Okay, here is a question from our dear Louise. Regarding the upcoming eclipse on April 8th, are you going to do anything special?
I'm going to stay home and watch it on TV. How's that? From my armchair. What are you doing, Preston?
I saw the eclipse that occurred on 1991. Yeah. I went to Mexico to see it, and it was the best experience ever. I loved it so much. I'm like, all right, we're all going for the next one. And we took the whole family up to Oregon and watched it. So I've had twice. If you guys ever get an opportunity to see the full totality, it's much better than 99% even, right. Because even 1% of the sun is enough to provide daylight. And when that 1% gets covered up, it's a completely different experience. Yeah. So if you have an opportunity, definitely go. I just don't have the time or energy right now. I've got so much going on with the new book coming out and writing another. I'm actually, another teaser, going to put out an anthology of some of my science fiction stories. I won another award for a science fiction story, and I love science fiction. I just don't want to confuse people who, to say, oh, you write science fiction. Are UFOs science fiction? No, they're real. I'm hoping everyone can tell the difference between what's real and what's not. But yeah, if you get a chance to go to the eclipse, absolutely do it, because it is the most amazing experience ever. Okay, now moving along to synthetic nature. Dolly, could you tell us a little bit more about your work for the Department of Treasury and the DOD?
I started working as a data transcriber. I was in college at the time and needed work. And my cousin, who was one of the big guys in the Treasury in Washington, said, look, I'm going to get you an appointment. You go down there and you do what they tell you to do. And I'm like, okay. So I went down there and I took the civilian test, and I passed it, and they got me an appointment, and I went in and they said, okay, we're going to bring you in. And so I started doing taxes, and then I went to the RPG. It's a 3-letter word. I can't remember anymore. God, it was years and years ago. I was young. RPS division, where I was inputting the checks into the system, and it was a locked area. I had to swear another oath. At that point, it was my second oath. And then I started doing pre-auditing, where I was setting up for auditors during the day at night, and it just went from there. I was very heavily into doing stuff for the IRS. I can tell you a funny story about this. When I first saw the code book, it freaked me out. It's on a long table, and it took up the entire table, and it's on a metal rod to hold it all together. That freaked me out. You can't believe it. If you've ever seen a picture of it, believe it, it's true. That is real. When I worked for the DOD, my father was an airborne ranger, and I always wanted to be a ranger. And of course, I'm a girl, and back then, no girl was allowed. And I was trying to figure out how I could support the Rangers. And my dad said, well, we can do it this way. And when I went into the as a contractor in the TMP as a driver. I could drive anything, okay? And I went in that way. And then I started working my way up. I got my hazmat. I started hauling bombs around. I got clearance for that. I did that for a long time. I did, and I was actually starting to support the 75th Ranger Regiment at that point. I did airborne. I did all of it. After a long time, I decided I needed a break, and I switched over as a DOD. I became DOD at that point. I was installed into that. And I went into working for the MP station, and I was the lead MP clerk on the base. So I had to work all 3 shifts, and I had to keep the records straight, and I was responsible for D-cell. If you got brought in and you were getting put into D-cell, I was responsible for you. And it was interesting. It was really interesting. I was also a hazmat first responder, and I worked, I handled the fire department and stuff like that. And then I did do relief 911 calls because I'm a nurse and I can do that. And so, yeah, that was my life there. Long time. Yep.
Yeah, I had an OBE about some of the stuff you do there, which we won't talk about because I think it's top secret. I should not be seeing this.
Yeah, it's also interesting to tell you all just so you know, my dad loves me so much. He was retired and he decided to take a job on the base as an architect. He was one of the restoration architects for the base. And so he was there when I was there a lot. And I used to go to lunch with him sometimes. And he used to take me over to the Ranger PX, I mean, not the PX, where you go for lunch, chow. And oh my God, they cook good. And yeah. Okay.
All right. We got a lot of questions. There's like 30 in there. And I'm going to give W. Decker a cut in line just for appreciation of the super chat. So thank you, W. Decker. That will get you a cut in line, folks. I have to. And he's asking, can contact occur through dreaming and lucid dreaming? 100%.
Yes.
Yeah. I had an OBE once where I'm going along and I saw a gray. Stupidly, I didn't stop. I was very much startled. But this is confusing because also recall can occur through a dream state. And people might perceive that as an actual experience when you're really just remembering what happened during missing time, perhaps. Or you can have active interactions.
Right.
I'm not sure that's their preferred method, but they will communicate with people telepathically.
Right.
And you can pick that up during the dream state because we're especially receptive to telepathy when we're relaxed.
Right. Well, when you're at night and you're asleep and you're lucid dreaming, you're OBE at that time. Okay. And if they're coming to pick you up and you're still in that state, they're going to physically bring you up, whether you're in that state or not. And it's more lucid for you to remember it that way than to actually be in your body. Because when you're OBE, you're not terrified. No kidding. You forget to be afraid. And that's why more people remember it that way. Just saying. So.
All right, guys, I am taking these questions in order. I see some of you like asking the same question twice. I'll get to them, I promise. But yeah, we're taking them in order. I'm trying for the most part. Okay. Here is a question from Protagonist. My mom told me that when she was younger, she saw shadow beings walking across rooms. She once saw glowing red eyes when she was in bed. Could these experiences be ET related?
Nope, not at all. I have a shadow being that's followed me around most of my life, and it got the message when I lived in Florida, like 2019, that I was done with it. Leave me alone forever. If you bother me one more time, I'm coming after you. And I did. I physically went after it. So yeah, they're something from here that is not exactly okay. Just saying.
Yeah. I would say the only connection is ET contact can lead a person to a psychic awakening, and then you're pulled on board, you have your experience, you come back, start seeing shadow people because you have an awareness now.
Heightened ability, yeah.
So in that way, that might be related. And it can work both directions. You might have a near-death experience, and that awakens you. You might do meditation. Suddenly, you have an on-board experience. Or meditation, you start seeing shadow people, and then an on-board experience. So there's a kind of a give and take and a bleed through. But I don't think that shadow people are ETs.
Right, they're not. And also, the more psychic you are, in other words, if you're seeing shadow people, that means you're a little bit better than average psychically. Pat yourself on the back for that. And you need to pay attention to how to repel that kind of energy away from you. And basically, you just take the stance, you're not touching me, I'll shine a light on you, go away. And they will. The brighter you become, the more psychic you become, the more they notice you. That's why they show up. So, yeah.
Okay, these questions are coming in fast. All righty, I'm so excited. But you know what? I better take a quick station ID break.
Okay.
Forgetting. So let me just let you all know that you are watching the Lightgate episode 49. I'm Preston Dennett, your host. My lovely co-host is Dolly Safran. We are doing an open mic night Q&A. Ask us anything. We will definitely try to get to it. But please forgive us if we don't, because they are stacking up fast. We will try to answer them as quickly as possible. I do want to let you all know that we are streaming live at 107.7 FM on the United Paranormal Radio Network from the beautiful city of New Orleans in Louisiana. Also, the UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 105.3 FM. We're on Roku. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on multiple platforms. And our show is growing fast. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. We've talked about everything from crop circles to shadow people to the Antarctic to OBEs. And we have got lots more to cover. So let's just keep moving along. And the next question I see on my list is from Mike Saab CZAKMS. What is your process for deciding what's true and what isn't? Love your show. Oh, thanks. Well, of course, there is a whole process. When I am doing my research, perhaps interviewing someone, I go through a process. I first do a very informal interview, taking notes about what their experience is about, always trying to help them, and taking careful note of what they're saying, looking for little, what I call red flags, or ticking the boxes of certain details of a person's experience, and you get a feel for it. I ask for character references, of course. Once I decide to do a formal interview, I will record it, always. Go very deeply into each experience, fact check everything I can that is fact checkable, and look for those red flag details and do everything I can to vet a person's story. So, I mean, it goes on from there. It's a whole long process. People are very emotional. Often you can read that. There are, what else would I say? I mean, I do a follow-up interview for sure. There's a lot that goes into it, really. That's hard to verbalize because, intuition certainly plays a part. And if someone's asking for money or something like that, no, that's a red flag. No, I won't even go there. The story might be true, but even then, no. People are very reluctant to share details of high strangeness, and that is another thing that can lead me to determine if a person is telling the truth. Ultimately, it's very hard to do. I try to present the evidence. I try to present cases that I feel are absolutely genuine, but it's up to each person to decide what's true. We all have our own pathway to truth. No one can hand it over to you. So I think ultimately the problem is we're victims of the government's attitude and cover-up. And the subject has been made to look unbelievable when it's not. It's not unbelievable. The evidence is there. So I'm not sure if that fully answers your question, but there's a lot that goes into it. Anyone who's been interviewed.
This will give you perspective. I hear the truth because I'm wide open psychic and I can tell when you're lying, or anybody, or if information is suspect. And then I start digging for the truth if I don't know it. Preston wanted my entire life handed to him. I gave him proof of employment. I gave him ID cards. I gave him medical reports. I gave him x-rays. I gave him my family and friends to speak to freely without me present. I gave him film, videos, you name it. His being around me, he saw that I am actually psychic, and I prove it all the time. It's a weird situation to live with me. I don't like living with anybody. We both have our own end of the house. We're sharing right now and hanging out because proximity is important right now. But he knows that I'm psychic. He sees it happening. There's no way to avoid it. Preston's pretty psychic too, which is amazing in itself. Really psychic. So but you have to dig deep. You have to make people prove their stuff. I did make the decision, since Preston's so well known and he has so many books out there, that his word should be treated as golden. So I have allowed him to have all this information about me, and so that he is my spokesperson, I guess, for the truth of my thing. But I've watched him interview other people, and he didn't just do it to me. He does it to everybody. Give me what you got. That's what he wants. So
it's a very delicate thing because there is disinformation in this field, and there are hoaxers. I've dealt with a few of them, but it's pretty darn rare.
Right.
And there's people I've interviewed whose stories so far out, I'm like, well, true or not, I'm just not ready to go there. So it's a delicate process for sure. Okay, moving along. This is a good question from Robot X. Most, if not all, ETs appear to be telepathic. Why does this talent escape Earthlings? Yes, there's many reasons, I think. It's been a deliberate campaign on the part of people on our planet who do not have our best interests in mind. Call them the cabal, the secret government, whatever you want. But they have basically poisoned us with legal and illegal drugs, fluoride, hate-based
Information.
media, everything they can, noise, electromagnetic noise,
Fluoride.
psychotronics, actual technology that's deliberately trying to confuse people. And you can get telepathy. Most people have had a telepathic experience of some kind. I would challenge you to just go through, like, have you ever picked up the phone and like, just thinking about you, or had a dream and it happened the next day, or we have this ability. We just really need to work on improving it, I think.
Yeah, well, remember, your children haven't been talked out of it. You're very young children. Let them be psychic. Talk about being psychic. Play psychic games with them. Do not let the world impede on them, make them afraid and unable to use their abilities. Do not let that happen. Protect them from it. Okay.
Yes. Okay. There's a lot of comments here. Please do more Q&A shows. What tends to confuse people the most, I find, are the religions. Heidi says, yes, we have this ability indeed. Yes, I feel the same way. Okay, here is a question from Maggie Smith. I think we're moving towards having intentional communities. How do you think the UFO community might fit in with this? I think they want us to grow up on our own.
Yeah, you got to remember something. You're not going to be handed the silver platter or the keys to the kingdom. You have to work for this. This was brought up to me today by Todd. Okay, he impressed me that this question was going to come up, and by gosh, there it is. You cannot be trained to do something that you are not ready to do, and you cannot be not given knowledge without you seeking the knowledge for yourself and employing it yourself. We have to be psychic, and we have to employ that. It's one of our senses, and you have to allow it to occur in you so that you can grow up and develop with it. This is a big thing. We're adults, most of us, who are trying to do this, and y'all need to give yourself a break and just begin and keep doing it every day, a little bit every day. All will be revealed in the process, but you have to give yourself the chance to do it in the first place. And once you do that, then you're going to learn on an unbelievable scale. Things will happen to you. Knowledge will be given to you. You'll be able to download from the universe itself. It's a very chatty thing, and if you ask, it will be told to you. Don't stop trying. Don't stop believing that you are not psychic. You are psychic. Don't believe that you're not. Practice every day, and it takes doing a couple of things. Turn off the chatter. Turn off the negativity. Just quit playing the violent games. Quit playing world politics and being involved in craziness and misinformation. Leave it alone. Let it go. Develop yourself. Heal yourself, and it will happen. Okay.
Yeah, I think the intentional communities are a step in the right direction. But remember, ETs don't have a federalized system of government with presidents and kings and money. So ultimately, we have to move towards that direction. And I think ETs provide an example of that, but it's up to us to do the work.
Right. They're not going to greet us. We have to greet them. That's what they're waiting for.
This is what they're telling contactees. Okay, moving along. Here comes a question from Janice Connett. Preston Dolly said that the ETs have left in about 2016. Actually, it's closer to 2021, wasn't it? 2022?
Yeah, May 2022 was the last of them. They are not here.
And your books on cases are from the 1800s to the early 2010s. Well, actually, they go a bit up, actually right up up to 2020. Have you had any cases since Dolly said the ETs have left? No. I have a guy in England who doesn't want his name used, who was visited by AI Gray, but that Dolly has said over and over again, yes, there are drones, ET drones here, piloted by AI Grays who are watching over us. But that is it. I've talked to people who believe they've seen things. I think Talata dropped in a couple of times. But no, for the most part, it's dropped dramatically in my own files. And certainly this was reflected on some of the other UFO organizations.
MUFON noticed it big time. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, not to say that they're not watching over us, though. They are.
They're in contact. They hear what we're doing. They know. They see.
Okay. This one's from Carol Aubin. The type of alien with an elongated prominent chin. Are they part of my labs or some other program? Dolly, just curious if you know. I know there are lots of reports.
Have you seen this alien? Have you seen this ET? Or is this something you've heard about? We need to distinguish this, because I can't even begin to answer that to you unless I know specifics. And if it's gossip, I can't deal with it at all, because I don't know anything yet. I want the source. If you're talking from experience, then yeah, let's talk about it. And I got 3 questions to ask you right away. Let's hear it.
Yeah, I will say people do describe ETs with very pointy chins. That comes up the grays, which I believe are, do the little AI grays, do they have pointy chins? Dolly?
Yes, they do. They have long faces, pointy chins, yes.
Yeah, so I think that, yeah. All right. Meta Super Family is jumping in line. Sorry, folks. He gave a super chat, and I have to, acknowledge that. So thank you very much, Meta Super Family. Hi, Preston Dolly. If I want to remember a visitation from ETs and be awake, or have a daylight visitation instead of night, how can I do it? Thanks.
At this point, meditate. Start reaching out with your mind and ask the question. Say, is there an ET out there who's hearing me, and will you communicate with me psychically? It doesn't matter where they are, they can. There's no distance psychically between us, okay? We hear everybody. And see if you get an answer. Keep a book. Write everything down that happens to you. Don't just say, oh, I remembered this a week ago. Write it down so you have a clear memory of it written down. Write the date and the time and see what happens. This is an experiment you can do with your abilities. Try to make contact.
Yeah, meditation is a great way. It really is, because you can have direct telepathic conversation and OBEing. So Carol says, yes, she is an experiencer. And yes, she did see one of these ETs.
Okay. How tall was it?
Well, it's hard to have a back and forth conversation, Dolly. Comment.
Write it quick, Carol. It'll pop
up. We'll try to backtrack on that. So thank you, Carol. Questions for the 2 OBE pros. I think Dolly's better than me, but I'm working at it. Is it just me, or does going OBE feel so free, and when you come back, you realize how heavy your body is? Yes, rat food. Yes. It's like putting on a wet bathing suit. It's like wearing a suit of armor. Yes. I get a little depressed in the morning.
Takes a minute or two.
Here I am back in the 3rd dimension.
Breathing is really difficult sometimes. You get in and you're going, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only real danger, I think, is it makes you a little bit homesick for the other side. But it's very healing. And so wonderful that I wouldn't trade it for anything. And you get to go back in just a few hours. Oh, goodness gracious. Time is moving by. Moving along. Any comments about the eclipse? We talked about it.
There's a lot of religious stuff going on about that. I want y'all to critically think about something. People are patient, and people with knowledge are even more patient, especially if they want to inflict you with a ruse. So just take everything with a grain of salt and think clearly through it. How many eclipses have there already been? And how many eclipses have crossed paths in how many different places around the world? This is an eclipse. It is a natural process of our solar system, and we're going through another one. And I don't know what to tell you about it other than that.
Yeah. I wouldn't lose your mind about it. Just enjoy it. Be careful. Okay, OBEs and meetings with ETs. We did talk about this. Yes, you absolutely can. It's a great method. If you do find yourself suddenly out of body, It's always good to have a plan. Go to bed with a plan. Like, I want to meet ETs tonight. I want to meet this deceased loved one. I'd like to go to the moon. I'd like to go to a healing temple. I want to meet a spiritual master. I'd like to learn about a past life. It's the same with meeting ETs. Would you say that's correct, Dolly?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Okay. DGK, we finally got to your question you've been waiting so patiently for. Have any animals after Laika, the first dog in space, have they been recovered by ETs?
Okay, Laika wasn't recovered in space, unfortunately. They wouldn't have dared to touch that. And that's sad because Laika's life, ended because of that. But ETs have been recovering animals off this planet for a long time. They watch over species here. We've lost millions of species on this planet in the last 100 years, and it's going to get worse. We just lost a few more recently. Things are happening. We're about to lose sawtooth sharks. They are becoming ill and they're doing really weird things, and there aren't that many of them left, and I think that they're going to go next. It's because of what's happening to our solar system right now that this is occurring. And no, they will not let these species die. They have taken them to safety. They will keep them alive and prospering and not perishing. And when that time is right, they will be brought back here. So that's what's going on.
Lots of cases of animals being scooped up.
Right.
We'll be talking a little bit about that in Symmetry 2, by the way. And a bunch of it is in Symmetry 1. Here's some more details from Carol Albin regarding the pointy, big-chinned ET. I was laying on a futon and he was looking at me. He said telepathically, just observing. Did not see how tall, but the futon is not high off the ground, less than 5 feet. So 4 foot something, I presume. So short. Sounds like an AI gray to me.
Yeah. Yeah. They're between 3'5" and almost 4 feet. Some of them are, I don't know, for whatever reason, they're in that range. They're not molded, they're created, they're biological units. And so sometimes there's a variation in height with them.
All right, moving along. Light in the Dark asks, where's Dolly from? She's from Neptune.
I'm a military brat. I was born in a military installation and I've lived everywhere. So,
we're all from source. That's what I say. How old are you? We're all 1 billion years old.
We're older than my actual chronological age here. I'm going on 66 this year, and but my physical body is older than that. I'm wearing out and faster because I've had so much extra time on me and brought back, to almost the point that I left right after. And so yeah, I'm only 66, but sometimes I feel 80. The same. So and I sound different than most people who were born in the South because I do not speak English as a first language. Swedish is my first language. So, and I'm sometimes when I'm talking, you'll hear me. My eyeballs are twitching because I'm trying to translate in my head while I speak. It's kind of creepy for me, and I also speak some other languages as well. So it's weird.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a half an hour left and still at least 30 questions. So 1 minute per question. And we'll get through them all.
Okay.
Saul Crawford's asking, Dolly, your description of an imminent CME, coronal mass ejection, are very serious, and if true, could cause people to make serious life changes. Do you have any undeniable way to corroborate this claim?
Yes, there is scientific proof. And there are many astrophysicists and physicists and geophysicists alike, or solar people, who have the proof. The governments won't tell you the proof because they don't want you to know. They've already planned to survive it, they think, and we're in the way. So I can give you one good place to go to. He's a first good contact. It would be Ben Davidson. He is on the Suspicious Observers channel in YouTube. And then there's an astrophysicist who I like, and it's Dr. Robitaille and Sky Scholar on YouTube. So start with them and then work your way out. To understand what's happening, you have to have a base knowledge of all this. So go back into Ben's thing on Suspicious Observers. He's got a huge playlist and he explains everything, all of it, and gives you scientific truth. that you can easily look up and back up what he says. So check that out first, learn what he has to say, check out Sky Scholar, Dr. Robitaille, and then talk to me again. How's that?
Yeah, I mean, let's be serious. Dolly was given this information. What did you want her to do? Take you to the sun? No, we each have to do this. Look up CMEs. Look up the history of CMEs. Look how it's major news right now. It is.
Yeah, be interested in science. Start learning this stuff.
And as far as a timeline update, this is a geological event. They're very hard to predict.
Yeah, and I put his stuff up on my Facebook every single day. Every time he has something to say, I put it up. So go look at my Facebook, and you'll find him that way too. You know?
Yeah, this is something a lot of contactees have been warned about too. Just saying.
Right. I can't teach you on YouTube in this show in 5 minutes that I'm telling you the truth. You're going to have to do some research on your own to figure it out. So, but I wish you well with this. Go for it. Okay.
All right. Question from Magic Martian. Question: if we have many past lives and supposedly future lives, how can someone see their loved ones, quote, welcoming them when they pass to the other side? Wouldn't they have a new life? No, not yet. This is my understanding. I've asked about this and I've studied it. People generally wait for family members, friends, and do not jump off to the other side immediately. This is not always true. If someone's life was cut short, there's many examples of this. If you look at the work of Dr. Ian Stevenson, there was a show on children's past lives. People will come back and reincarnate into the family immediately if they have a task or this was a plan. But for the most part, no, you don't have to worry about that. And you have plenty of time to reincarnate. And there's many places all over the universe you can do it. Don't worry, your loved ones are waiting for you. And perhaps some will reincarnate before you're there to meet them, but chances are they're coming back to see you physically anyway, because we reincarnate in groups. Families and friends, they find each other. This is my understanding. I can't prove it, but this is what I've learned.
And he's right. This is my experience with this. I have one relative that I've never been able to find on the other side after he passed away. So I know he reincarnated. He died in a very tragic way. And I'm positive that he reinvested in life and came back again. I have a grandmother. My mother's mother died when I was only 7 years old. And she's around, but it's been so long, 60 years almost, that she's been gone that it's hard to tell when she's around. It's faint to me. I know I can sense her, but I don't have full-on conversations with her or see her. She was very, very knowledgeable and ascended when she left here, and I have a feeling that I have to work hard to get to where she's at right now. So yeah.
All right. Here's a comment from Joy. Hi, a little late. I wish there was somebody I live near that I could talk to about my experiences. Try going online. If MUFON has chapters in every state, go to their meetings. I met lots of lovely people in the little local MUFON groups. There's lots of Facebook groups.
Stephen Gear has a site too where it gives you a map of who's near you and you can contact them if you join his group. So
just reach out to people. If you'd like to send me an email, I'll see if I can send you some links or groups that might be helpful for you. But yeah, there are people out there who you can talk to. I do hope that you can find people, because I know how it is. It's difficult when you can't find someone to talk to about this. A lot of people just don't really want to talk to about it. So I wish you luck with that. But yeah, contact me if you'd like. Preston PrestonUFO@gmail.com. That's my email. Pretty easy to remember. All right, Mike is asking, is there a correlation between ET contact and heightened psychic effects?
I want to answer this one. Okay, listen, you're already psychic. And when ET contacts you, they make you work the muscle in your head to be, so that you can be in contact with them. Once you start operating it yourself, you're the one who's doing it, not them. It's just that you're using it. It's like talking. You learn to speak, right? If you don't talk to anybody for 2 years after you learn to talk, you're not going to talk really, really well. If you talk every day, of course, you're going to talk really, really well. Or ride a bike even, or ride a horse, or jumping jack, or whatever. This is an ability you're already born with. You're already operating it. And all ET does is help you facilitate to turn it on for yourself. They give you an open channel, you go with it, and boom, you're working it. So keep going.
All right. Here, I'm gonna just add to that and say that when a person does have contact, it's very common that they experience a bit of a psychic awakening, but it's absolutely a two-way street. The ETs aren't doing it to you. They're facilitating your pathway towards it. I think might be the best.
You're opening the door. Yeah.
And when they talk to you telepathically, suddenly like you're experiencing telepathy. This is amazing. And they're floating around the craft and floating you. And you're like, well, this is levitation. They move you through a wall. These are all things that can help you suddenly, recognize the feeling of being out of body or experiencing telepathy or precognition.
Right.
And they're very interested in people who are already experiencing these things because it is a two-way street. But almost always people who have direct contact start experiencing a lot of abilities. It's a natural progression. Okay, here is let's see. Let me first take this one off. Silly question for Preston and Dolly. Do you both know your astrological ascendant signs? I'm
Yes.
Taurus. I don't know what my ascendant sign is.
You're, let's see, I don't want to talk out of turn. I know what it is. I have it written down somewhere. Mine, my moon is in Aquarius, and my ascendant is Sagittarius, and I'm a Taurus as well. And most of my houses are either Scorpio, Aquarius, or one Pisces, and a couple Virgos and Aries and stuff like that. I'm all around the place, but my moon is definitely in Aquarius. I also know my numerology if you want to know. I'm a 9. My master number is 22. So.
And what's me? Do you know me?
You are a 4.
Oh.
And you're a master number. I think you're 11.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's 11. I see that stuff.
Yeah, but I'm not a huge astrology guy.
Yeah, I find it interesting.
Okay, hold on. Oh, DGK. Does the concept of space whales exist outside of fiction? Dolly?
No. No, there are no space whales at all. Nothing can live in space. No biological agent functions. If we have biological stuff that comes at our planet, it's attached to asteroids or comets, and it's hidden inside the rocks that break open and expose it. No. Gamma radiation kills, absolutely destroys DNA. If you're alive, don't stay in space. Okay.
All right. Next. Yeah, I've never heard of space whales. But there's fiction about it. Joe Fox is asking, can I manifest an encounter or a sighting at the very least?
Manifest?
You can
if
ask.
you call them and ask them, something got to show up, but intend it to happen and wait for an answer. Be quiet long enough for it to hit you. And then verify. Don't ever believe everything that happens to you. You have to verify every experience you have. It's like I touched the light socket and I got shocked. Stupidly, I will figure out if that really did shock me or if I had something weird happen to me. So I'll do it again just to find out if it did. You verify experience. So think about that if you ask for something to happen and then it does happen, is this a figment of your imagination or is this real? Verify it. Okay.
Yeah, I joined a CE5 group, Stephen Greer's group, CSETI, back in the 1990s. We had a bunch of sightings going out there and meditating, and it was a lot of work. It got really exhausting after a while, but CE5s is all about this. It's all about meditating. They use lights and stuff. Ultimately, I think it's consciousness and meditation that is the ultimate way to do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can, but I'm not sure I would call it manifesting, or really it's just reaching out and listening.
Right.
Okay. This was bound to come up. Do you believe there's a galactic federation out there monitoring us?
No. ETs are all wide open psychic. And what I mean by that is that they can constantly hear each other. All I have to do is turn my thoughts toward Talata and he will respond to me and say, what? He hears everything I think. I hear what he thinks. We can have open communication. I can do this as well with Mama or any other ET I'm in contact with. This is so the norm for them that everybody knows what everybody else is thinking. There's no hiding from it. They're one great big family. They believe because they're so advanced. It's not a belief. It's a way of existing. They have elders who have more knowledge than anything you could possibly imagine. They are wise beyond all, and they have what they call consensus. If they have an issue or something and they need somebody wiser than them to speak on it while they're researching what to do about it, that happens. When they make decisions about where they're going and what they're doing, everybody has something to say about it. Consensus. Whitley Strieber used the term communion, which is exactly the same thing. They are all in communion with one another. Consensus. No government needed. None. Okay.
Yeah, I don't have any evidence of a galactic federation, none that I find credible. So that is my assessment. All right, moving along. Would Dolly update us on the Earth's magnetic field shift? Is it just too unpredictable to have?
There is a huge Yeah, there are two fronts on this. One is what the governments are reporting, and there's a big meeting enclave about to happen. And some of the people that I know of are going to this. Ben says there are two in the observers group that are going. And we know for a fact that they said that it was down 10%, but then they turned around and said, well, now it's exponentially getting worse, and it's 5% every decade. Well, if you add that all up, it's quite high. So they're not really telling the truth. We're waiting for them to come out with their quote unquote determination if they're correct or if they're truthful and honest about it. They may try to sway everybody in the wrong direction. That happens a lot. Then there are those who know what it is because they are capable of doing the calculations themselves and observing it. And it is about between 30 and 40%, give or take. My estimation is closer to 40. Ben is closer to 30, approaching 30. So yeah, that's where we're at. That's pretty high. That's pretty messed up. It is causing all kinds of things. When you talk about animals beaching themselves or swimming around in circles or flying and just suddenly dropping out of the skies and dying, and animals turning white and at birth, and all the signals that this is chaotic, erratic, magnetic forces around us and a depletion in our magnetosphere, we're taking heavier and heavier loads of gamma radiation. The proof is also in our physicality. We have more cancer, we have more autoimmune disorders, more heart problems, more emotional problems. Society is becoming, anarchy is ensuing. People are losing their minds and not thinking straight. And then we've got the government doing all this crazy stuff too. It's high. That's why ET won't fly here now, because it's too dangerous for them. They started crashing way too much, and the decision was made. That's it. We're done until it finishes its cycle.
All right. We got 20 more questions to do in 20 minutes. So
okay.
Maybe we can do it. And I'm sure more are going to pop up. We kind of already covered this. Can Dolly talk about the pole shift? When and are aliens going to help? Yes, ETs have talked over and over again about coming here if there's an existential crisis.
Right.
When is hard to predict.
Right. We know that certain things are going to occur, and we almost have an order of that happening. But like all things, it's hard to tell specifically, give dates to people. You can't do that. This is nature in action, and this is on a solar system scale. We know that we have a CMA because of our magnetosphere and the potential of an X class in the 12th, KP12, which would annihilate the whole planet magnetically. In other words, we would be in the Stone Age at that moment and on our own totally. That's one of the first things that's going to occur. As we are waiting for that to occur, we have anomalies in our atmospheres, in our volcanic eruptions. Our mantle is trying to break free. We have all kinds of things going on because of this. Everything is shifting around and causing problems. The core of our planet is heating up to the point that our mantle is breaking free, and the volcanoes are popping off. There is no such thing as global warming from us. It is totally what's going on with this that's causing that to happen. We also have a Beaufort gyre. That's the name of it. Look it up, BOUFORT or D gyre, where the circulation up in the northern part of on the eastern part of the planet keeps the water cool, the circulation keeps it cool. But the poles have been melting because the planet heated up, the core of the planet. So all that fresh water went into the Atlantic and other places, mostly into the Atlantic, and it is stopping the Atlantic flow. This is serious stuff. It's cooling it down. That means we are now headed for colder and colder and colder and colder. You will see this summer not be as hot as you think it's going to be. There might be a higher incidence of hurricanes happening lower down near the equators coming up at us. But you will see next winter become very, very cold, and it'll get worse and worse and worse. We are now heading back to an icy conditions. It might take 30 years for us to go globally icy, but it's happening now. It's because Jars shut down last year, period. This is crazy. After the magnetic poles finish changing, we have other things to worry about after that. All right. One, we're going to be no grid. People are going to be fighting each other for food. The governments all have planned to go underground. So think about, it's not good, not a good situation.
We're a little bit spoiled here in the, generation. Previous generations, governments fall all the time.
Yeah.
Throughout history, people have starved to death. It's good to be prepared for all things.
But we are facing a solar disruption, and it's going to be a micronova, and the entire sun is being covered by dust and debris from space. It's been collecting it for 12,000 years, and it is getting to the point now where it's going to go. So first thing you can see is the CME happening. Every satellite in the sky is going to come down. So you got to worry about that. If we lose the grid, start looking up, because stuff from up is going to come down, and it don't care where it lands. Watch out. Okay. Underground bunkers are good. Dig a hole, bury yourself for a while if you see that start to happen. Take food and water with you. Then we have to worry about the sun micronova. ET will not leave us on this planet at that point. Sometime between the micronova, the CME that knocks down the grids, the poles changing, and the micronova, ET is going to look for a window to come in, and they will land in mass. Plan to be here for that. I'm going to tell you it's going to be challenging because, like I said, the governments have no goodwill for anybody but the ones that they plan on surviving this. Just think about it. So that's what's happening. Hard truth, but it's coming. It's coming.
Let's see if we can do these a little bit more rapid fire.
Okay.
And we can get through them. Where is Dolly from? Ever been to Indiana?
Yes, I've been to Indiana. I've driven down the longest bloody highway in Indiana. Yes. I lived in Chicago for a while. I've lived in Wisconsin. I've lived in a lot of places. I've been everywhere. I like I'm from Wisconsin because I lived in Wisconsin, very small.
Indiana,
that's where
too. Right?
Yes, I do. I work the Midwest. Yes.
So maybe that's what you're seeing there, light in the dark. Maybe you've been contacted. Okay. Now, DGK is asking, what, if anything, was being shot at in the Battle of LA? For those who don't know, the Battle of LA occurred in, I think 1942, where UFOs came over Los Angeles, Culver City in particular, a very large craft, but a bunch of smaller ones. They blamed it first on Japanese airplanes and tried to say it was balloons. It wasn't. I've talked to a first-hand witness. These were actual craft. I think these were ETs. We shot 1,500 rounds of ammunition at them. It's a typical, what researchers call a display, very much like Hudson Valley or, Gulf Breeze or Topanga Canyon or Mexico City during the eclipse. That's my assessment. I think it was ET. Any comment on that, Dolly?
You're probably very correct.
All right.
Leave it at that.
Moving along, and this is a good one from Chris. Teen. Do you know which type of gray ETs communicated with the aerial school children in Zimbabwe? That was 1996. UFOs landed next to the school. I've got 100 cases like it. I don't know which type of ETs they were. I think it's a mission, an agenda, a goal that they have to communicate, particularly not only with everybody, with children, because they're so open to it and unfearful, and will be huge influencers in the future. And it's working out that way. So
Yeah.
I'd say it's all of them doing it.
Yeah, they wouldn't have put any biological ET out for that. It would have been the AI first contact for them. Yeah.
Okay, moving along. Central Wisconsin. How do the ETs build their ship? Is it possibly like 3D printing?
No, they're not created in the third dimension. They're actually created in the fifth dimension, and that's because they facilitate fifth dimensional entities like Talata. They're non-corporeal. They need a physical body to come into the third dimension, and that's where they're built. They are a biological entity. The craft is made biological, like the AI ETs, and they're indwelled by fifth dimensional beings, and then they fly into this dimension. So, and the process, I wouldn't even begin to be able to explain it to you. It's not made all at one time. Since it's biological, it takes time to create. And they use light technology. Again, they're advanced. Think about that.
I'm writing this down as a question for Symmetry too. It's a good one. I like that.
Okay.
I'd like more detail because that is interesting. I've heard some from other contactees, and so I want to see if that matches up with what Dolly has to say. But we'll move along right now because we're looking at the last 10 minutes here. Peter Alexander Thorgeson is asking, I dreamed an ET came out of his craft and smiled at me, a huge, toothy, awkward smile. He was friendly. Was this real? I would say that only you can determine it by the quality of the presence. You can dream about people and are they real or not, but suddenly you have a dream of a loved one and you're like, gosh, that felt really real. I felt like I was with this person who I knew in life. The quality of the presence of an entity is how you tell whether or not this is real.
Right. In the future, everybody needs a notebook by their bed with a pencil. When you have stuff like this happen to you, write down every detail of it you can in the moment you wake up and realize what went on. Don't lose any of it. Write it all down in detail. Take the time to do that. You will be amazed at what you start to realize. Keep going with it, and things will start adding up to you, and you'll be able to prove or disprove yourself at that point because you've left clues for yourself. Okay. Whoa.
Okay. Oh my goodness. Rick is jumping in line. What is the pecking order? First, Rick, thank you. Let me just say thank you for the truly generous super chat.
Yeah.
And yeah, you definitely get a cut in line for this. So thank you, thank you, thank you. He's asking, what is the pecking order of good to bad types of ETs? Also, Preston, I sent you an email last week. Please check it out. I'm so behind on my emails, Rick.
Yeah.
Literally, I have like 400 I'm working through. So please be patient with me and don't be shy about sending me another saying, have you gotten mine? I do try to answer all emails. I'm so far behind. I'm sorry.
Yeah. There are no bad ETs. We tend to anthropomorphize, did I say it right? Our situation onto other beings. It is not true. These beings are billions of years in advance of us. They are completely devoid of these things, and they do not come here to be bad toward us at all, ever. There is no evidence in the past, any hieroglyphs or anything of that occurring. Now, we have other iterations on this planet, and I'll give you one. You know, the Indians, East Indians have the Vedic thing. That didn't happen in this last 12,000 years. That was another iteration. And that was a war here amongst them, not ETs. ETs did live on this planet from time to time, and there may have been a conflict between human and them. And that, from what I was taught, yes, that did happen from time to time, but it is not what you think it is. And no, they are not. You're bad or anything. ETs have all evolved to the point where you have to understand that we are related to them. We are their children, and they watch over us and they guide us when they can. And they're sometimes proud of us and sometimes worried about us. Right now, they're worried off their keisters about us. Think about that too. If they wanted to hurt us or be bad toward us, we would have no problem proving that. None. But right now, we have a lot of misinformation, innuendos, and gossip, and governments who want you to believe it, and you all are starting to buy it. And it really kind of scares me for y'all because that is not the way it is.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree a tiny bit. I think there are bad ETs out there, but there are people like us who are on their planets working things out. I'm not even going to call us bad, but no,
No,
the ETs are not here to hurt people. That is
right.
not
Yeah.
supported
But
by the
not
evidence.
here. There are no ETs coming here that are bad. The ones that Preston's talking about, and I agree that there are other unevolved planets out there with people on them, and yeah, they can be bad there, but they're not coming here that way at all.
Right. And they're not bad. They're
Okay.
just trying to learn. Everyone, I think evil is a thing. Don't get me wrong. But
This is the
ultimately,
school of hard knocks.
yeah.
Okay.
All right. So this next question I'm skipping because it's pretty much the same thing. Preston, do you do private Zoom chats? Certainly, I will. No need to pay. Just contact me. Email is best or messenger, and we'll set something up. Always happy to chat with people, whether they've got a question, a story to share, a comment. That's why I'm here. So yeah, just check out my website. You can contact me there or prestonufo@gmail.com. Hope you're well. And yeah, I look forward to it. Okay. Fun Talks TV says, Dolly, please tell ET to come and visit me in Poland. I want to see a craft or receive a telepathic message. She can't do it for you.
I want you to try really hard to do it for yourself. Keep a journal. Let me know in 2 weeks how your progress is. I will listen to you. Find me on Messenger. Okay, let's start up a chat where maybe I can help guide you to it. Okay, but I can't do it for you. Okay.
All right. Moving along. Truth Seeker is saying, to make contact with UFOs, just send your thoughts out to them late at night and they may appear. Yes.
Thank you. Very good advice. Very good.
Okay. Peter Alexander, why do I get mad when people bad talk the Greys? I want to defend them. I think that's unnatural. We want to defend those who, are trying to help us. I understand, guys. There's a lot of controversy surrounding all of this. There's a lot of lies, a lot of disinformation. There is fear and trauma. It's scary for people. I totally get that. I always caution people to take a very good look at your experiences and try to figure out, is this good for me or is this not? How much control do I have? This is a big, big issue, but yeah, there's a lot of controversy surrounding it. I totally get it. Question, is Dolly an alien? We all are.
We're all hybrid. I'm a little bit more hybrid in lately. In other words, there's a little bit more hybrid on me than you might have, although I don't know. But yeah, we're all hybrid here. So we're all part of them. They're us, we're them, we're all one. Think about that.
Yeah, totally agree. Okay. Is the sun going to scorch the earth? At some point, yeah. Sun is different from when I was a kid. We used to be able to go outside. Now, like, what's burning my arm? It's the sun.
Yeah. Well, we have less protection from it, and it's hotter. Radiation.
If you look into the science, we've already talked a little bit about this on this show. The sun goes through cycles.
Yeah.
Micronovas are a thing. CMEs are a thing. Planets go through life cycles. But time will tell. We'll see. This is an impossible question to answer, M. Garcia, because how would you know? What percentage of humans are born with amnesia of their true nature on this planet? I think we're all born with the knowledge, but it's quickly
talked out of it.
Yeah.
Right.
In our hearts, we know that
the minute you open up your mind, the minute you become totally, fully aware psychic, you'll get the answers that you're looking for. It's all there waiting for you. Your higher consciousness, who you really are, has all the answers you need. Your physical mind needs to hear it. And that's why you're working on being a psychic. So.
Okay. Gosh, I think we have to stop pretty soon, don't we?
Yeah, we got 3 minutes.
Okay.
One more quick one.
If I can find a good question that where can I get info on Dolly's experiences knowledge? I'm specifically curious about Mama. Check out Symmetry. Check out my channel with her. We did a series of 6 or 7 interviews. Check out the Lightgate. We talk about her experiences constantly.
Right.
Dolly has a YouTube channel as well. And okay, I'm just going to do a quick 10-second answer on each of these because we just have a few. We just did that one. Question: we can reincarnate anywhere. Can we reincarnate as a tall white and skip millions of years of spiritual development? You can reincarnate as a tall white, but you won't be skipping anything.
Right. You already have it. Yeah. You know everything in source. I mean, your consciousness is aware of everything. You have the same knowledge as everything all the way up to the all mind. You're cut off here because your pineal gland's been shut down and you need to open it back up and get going with it. So.
Okay. I don't know molten house trantiloids. Never heard of them with anyone I've talked to. What are your take on mantids? Just another type of being like us.
Right.
Those are the watchers.
Yes.
Okay, I think we're going to have to wrap it up, guys. Oh my goodness. W. Decker, thank you again. Amazing show as always. Thank you so much. Yeah, you guys, we're going to do another Q&A because we didn't quite get to all your questions. I think we got to most of them. Duchess wants to say hi. So she always comes.
Duchess. Duchess. Duchess.
So thank you guys so much. I want to give a huge shout out to all of you guys who were so generous with the super chats. Don't know if ever had so much love from you guys before. So thank you.
Amazing.
I mean, that is truly awesome. You guys are the reason we do this show. And this just warms my heart and makes me so happy. Makes me feel like we're actually making a difference. So thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys are the best in the world. You make our show so much fun to do.
Absolutely.
Thank you. All right, Dolly, you want to close us off?
So thank you all. Thank you so much for coming to see us tonight on the Lightgate. We will be having other Q&As after a little while. And I'm just excited that we got a chance to sit and informally interact with y'all this way. It was wonderful. We are coming to you live from the beautiful city of New Orleans in the state of Louisiana at the United Public Radio Network at 107.7 FM and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 105.3 FM. We came to you through Roku, YouTube, and Facebook. I love the fact that people can hear us around the world on the radio from these 2 stations. I wish you all a wonderful, wonderful week. Namaste. Bye, everybody.
Thank you guys.
Love you.
See you next week.
Bye.